Are you gonna bark all day, little doggy? Or are you gonna bite? Now, my first experience with Quentin Tarantino, I'd heard buzz about his name, I'd seen trailers for Reservoir Dogs, but my first experience was Pulp Fiction. I hadn't seen the trailer, but I just kept hearing about this movie, this must see movie, and I went and saw it opening night without having seen the trailer. And I was floored. It changed the way I looked at movies. Soon after, I sought out Reservoir Dogs. I rented that movie on VHS, and I fell in love. Hi, welcome to Jeffinaround. I'm Jeff, and we're going to do things a little differently today. Hope you stick around while we explore what happened to one of the most iconic relics of motion picture history. I'm talking about Mr. Blonde's shoulder holster from Reservoir Dogs. Where is it now? Let's track it down. Now, I've been an avid, career-long Tarantino fan since early in his career. As you can see here, the A Band Apart logo, which is the silhouettes of the guys from Reservoir Dogs. I've got, that's the poster image of Selma Hayek from Dusk Till Dawn. Now, this one is kind of worn over time, but it's Gary Oldman as Drexel from True Romance. Then, of course, you've got the Death Proof logo from the hood of the car. You got the Hattori Hanzo demon. Pulp Fiction. The scar acting as the bullet trajectory. Pack of red apples right there. And then the matching tattoo from True Romance that Clarence in Alabama got. Only I changed the tagline to the Sid and Nancy tagline, Love Kills. It's safe to say that I'm a pretty big Tarantino fan. So the question is, where are some of the artifacts that appeared in the film? Well, I'll tell you. I saw a podcast recently in which Tarantino was the guest. He was talking about how he keeps one prop from each movie, and from Reservoir Dogs, he kept the straight razor. So that one is with Quentin. So years ago, I used to work as a photographer for Kodak, mostly in the Disney parks and in some of the restaurants on property. One of them being Planet Hollywood. Planet Hollywood had Joe's address book on display. Among other things, sadly, they neglected Jenny, Forrest Gump's fishing boat. I used to stand out front every day taking pictures. If I looked over my shoulder to the right and looked down, there was Jenny, the fishing boat. Unfortunately, it succumbed to the weather. They did not take proper care of it. I inquired about it during the changeover. I was told it was trashed. It just fell apart. Now, the Joe's Black Book, I don't know where it is now. Ever since Planet Hollywood got their remodel, they lost most of the movie prop themage inside. So what they did with their props, I have no idea. But it used to be in the Planet Hollywood on the ground floor in Disney Springs. But what about the shoulder holster? Just what happened to this? Talking here, you can get a really good look at it. You can see the marking on it on the front of the shoulder holster. Yeah, this scene. Nobody forgets this scene right here. Look at the shoulder holster up close. The holster visibly steals the scene. Look at the way it stands out in contrast to the white suit. So let's take a trip back in time to 2009. A year earlier, there was the housing market crisis. We're in a recession. Collectibles are hardly selling. Things are going for prices you wouldn't believe. And I've become addicted to eBay. I've found movie collectibles on there. Movie warehouses are selling props. I see Mr. Blonde's shoulder holster available. It's around this time that I started my collecting. And I'm looking on eBay at movie props, and you wouldn't believe some of the stuff you're seeing on there. Movie prop warehouses were selling inventory and auctioning them off. And sure enough, Mr. Blonde's shoulder holster was on there. And just so happens, I had the winning bid. This is this. Those markings you see, you can see that visibly in the film. And if you look here, you see where the tape was holding the size together to fit Michael Madsen. And then this is framed inside the frame. So this has been hiding out with me since 2009. Now, it wasn't always in this nice setup. It sat away in a bin for about, well, till about 2 years ago. Sat in these bins right here. Nicely protected, which, oh, by the way, actually just happen to have, well, we're going to do another vlog in the future about that. This belonged to Roy DeMeo, Mafia Hitman. This was one of his jackets he wore as disguises when he went on hits. More about that at a future date. So we've got the tape here and here. And on the back here, I have the COAs, and this in here, it's all hardened, but it's a piece of the tape. It came off, I kept it. Yeah, I have everything in there. And it's got 2 postcard sized posters elevated inside the frame. Then the backing is actually cloth, like almost like t-shirt material. Now you might be wondering about this. I myself have been searching forever trying to spot this. Now, I figured it had to be on the server, the waitress. She has no lines in the movie, but in the script, she had 4 lines on page 6. So just a little bit ago, I did some extra digging. Sure enough, I spotted it finally. Right there. Right there on the waitress, just above the watch on her hand. She's wearing it under her name tag. Yeah, ooh, big deal, a button. So, well, the shoulder holster is very cool. The button, Still kind of neat that it was in a Tarantino movie, but mostly for me, it was just really fun. That was a puzzle that lasted almost, I'd say, a decade and a half, since 2009. Literally, I figured that out tonight, just before filming this. Here's a better look from photos I took with my phone. This has a much better zoom than this camera. It's not the clearest, but that's the button right there. That very button. You have no idea how crazy that was driving me. And there's a bit of sad news from the collection. I used to own a pack of screen-used Red Apple cigarettes from Pulp Fiction. Unfortunately, back around 2019, I was in a different place, and I was really struggling to get by, barely making ends meet. My landlords jacked up the rent. I was living by myself at the time. I couldn't afford it before they raised the rent. I was having to sell stuff off. I pawned it, but they weren't supposed to sell it. They were supposed to give me the opportunity to purchase it back. But by the time I finally had the money to get it back, they had sold it. And I bet they didn't get much for it. I have no idea. But yeah, that was a huge bummer. There was one that I came close. I was this close, but lost the auction last second. I almost had the Kurt Russell dummy that they beat at the end of Death Proof. That would have been pretty cool. To be honest, all those years before it was framed, it was in that box. I was living alone. My biggest fear was if anything were to happen to me, this would just disappear into history. Somebody wouldn't realize what it is, probably just chuck it out. More or less. I've been Mr. Blund's shoulder holsters custodian all these years since 2009. It's a pretty magnificent set and a magnificent piece of motion picture history. Just look at it. Oh, and I almost forgot. Check this out. It's actually a toy of the shoulder holster. And then there's the real holster. This is a toy version of that. Cool. Nice. So if you've been keeping up with my vlogs and you saw the one asking, what's in the trunk? This is one of the things that was in the trunk. What else might have been in there? Oh, I don't know. Maybe a big batch of foreshadowing for an upcoming vlog. Another look into the collection. Who knows? Yeah, that's going to be in the next collection vlog. Speaking of waitresses in Tarantino movies, so a little fun fact for you. I mentioned Kirk Balls, the cop in Reservoir Dogs, being an acting school friend of Tarantino's. Well, so was, I don't know her name, but you hear her voice, you don't see her face. In Pulp Fiction, she says, Garçon means boy. Well, you actually do see her face. In Kill Bill Volume 2, she's the assassin who shows up at the bride's room when she's looking at the pregnancy test and shoots a hole through the door and is peeking through with the shotgun. That's the same actress who said, Garçon means boy. Now you know. Well, you got a sneak peek at my From Dusk Till Dawn collection. Another one that's going to be upcoming. I'll have to show you my Jackie Brown collection. I have various assorted items from that one. Speaking of Tarantino-related movies, Hellride, which was produced by Tarantino, about bikers. Now, I happen to have a prop that was used in the production, but it wasn't in the final cut. And you won't believe this prop. One thing you're left wondering in Hellride at the end is what was in the treasure. Well, what if I told you I know? How do I know? Because I own it. You want a hint? Oh yeah. There's a few things in there. All these things you might recognize. All the answers are in this letter. Stay tuned, because I'll tell you what the treasure is, but not in this video. No, not yet. So, and for another video in the future, if you're a fan of Goodfellas, wait till you see what I have that belonged to the real life Henry Hill. And I have a letter he wrote me about it. Also, stay tuned for an upcoming episode when I tell you about the secret sequel to Goodfellas that nobody knows about because it's hidden in a cookbook in between chapters. Jeff and A. Keep on Jeffinaround with me. I actually don't know how to wrap this one up. Get me talking about Tarantino. I'll just go on and on and on. He's even up there. And that's going to wrap it up for this one. Now, normally, I leave you with a moment of ducks, but I'm not going to do that in this one. Well, thank you for stopping by, Jeffinaround. And if you're new here, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. And if you're subscribed, I love you. And if you're not, please consider subscribing so I can love you. And, come back for more stories. I've got lots more to tell. And as the sun slowly sets in the west, we bid you a fond farewell. Actually, that's from another Tarantino script, True Romance. Well, hey, thanks for stopping by.